This is how you come down. All right, here we go. Oh, took a frickin' hammer claw to the head with Ruby. She's just being kind. She doesn't understand she's got sledgehammers for feet with claws and rough pads on them. Oh my god. Big goon dog. Anyway, here's another day. Another day being alive. Won't be doing a big ramble this morning, but a quick note. You know when police officers say they'll go to a shooting or a car accident, and they'll have like 6 different eyewitnesses right there, and all 6 people saw a different version. It goes the same with doing this. You wouldn't believe how many people out there. It's bizarre to watch. I almost wonder how so many people get to be in that position with their brain when they clearly hear words spoken to them, yet their mind hears something else and goes on a tangent. It's really weird for me to watch. And if I don't have any patience that day, it's real hard for me to swallow sometimes too. When you get, like yesterday's video, I won't even repeat the words. If you're curious about what I was trying to get across yesterday, all you gotta do is listen to the last 3 minutes of yesterday's video. Yet, there's a fair amount of minds that think they heard me say, I don't believe in dogman, I don't believe in people's dogman testimonies, and you're just like the rest of whatever. It's so bizarre. It's just so bizarre. I'll bite my lip. I'm in no mood for dumb asses today. Anybody questions what I was requesting yesterday, go listen to yesterday's video, the last 3 minutes. End of story. Now, what else do we got? Had somebody else, one quick message, one other quick note. There's somebody, I got a shit pile of emails, I can't even open them all. And, somebody said, I got it right here. Dr. Nancy Shaw, she was attacked, and she is dead. Meaning by a dogman. Alright. Well, then I found took 2 seconds. Took 2 seconds. The body of Dr. Nancy Shaw was found dead in a ditch May of last year. Police spotted a car on Skyline Boulevard around 3 a.m., pulled over on the wrong side of the road, car running and the door open. They recognized the woman as Dr. Shaw, a longtime internist at Meadows Regional Medical Center. Leon's police chief says the department received a tip that led to Mosley's home, just outside the city limits. Investigators were able to get a search warrant for the home. The police chief says that when they found the 4 dogs, confirming Mosley was the dog's owner. According to the Leon's police department, the dogs possibly involved in the incident were identified and seized after the incident. I'm glad we were able to bring some closure to Dr. Shaw's death, said Chief Wesley Walker of the Leon's Police Department. And there's more of an article. I just screenshotted that one paragraph. But see what I'm getting at? There's a lot of people that echo. That's fine to echo. It's fine to pass on information for people to look into it. But what I'm saying is, maybe in the future, try to look into something first before you just echo that it might have been a dogman. Or was a dogman. Dogman killed the doctor. And another thing, too, about dogs. I think it's an average of 120 human beings are killed annually by domestic dogs. Okay? Echoing. And then coming out and blatantly saying, publicly, killed by a dog man. No, it was investigated. They actually got the dogs, and the owner of the dogs is charged. What I want to know is Why am I not hearing of close calls, people seeing? The statement that I'm questioning right now is the bold statement so many people are claiming that dogmen are killing people all over the place. All right. That statement is what was discussed yesterday. All right. I'll bite my lip. Listen to the last 3 minutes of yesterday's video. Now, who do we got? What do we got? All right. This is the title. Terrifying experience in the Sierras in 2005. Later experiences were not. Hi, Steve. Thank you for all you're doing to get this information out to us. I spent all my vacations in the last 30 years in the Sierra Mountains, hunting and fishing and hiking, dirt biking, and quadding. In 2005, I was deer hunting alone in the high Sierra of Central California. I had not seen anything at high elevation that morning, so I decided to head down the mountain and try a different area. As I was driving on the fire road to my left and down the mountain, I could see several deer below coming up the mountain. So I pulled over and parked my truck. I got out and walked about 25 yards from my truck and saw a spiked buck in a stand of trees about 100 yards up the fire road. I just observed the spiked buck on my scope, as I would not take a spike, and all of a sudden something very large, dark and fast, crossed my field of vision, and I was filled with a terrible fear and going to die dread. And in my head, I got a leave now impression/message. I said to myself, I got to get the F out of here. And as I turned to my right, my left boot hit my right boot and I stumbled, did not fall, then quickly walked to my truck, kind of shaken, and left. It took me 3 years to get up the courage to go back up there. I kept going over this incident in my head daily for years, trying to figure out what had happened. I got the courage to go back up there in 2008 without incident. In 2009, I got a buck tag for the area, hunted without any issues. But on my last day, heading back at sunset, a good-sized doe ran as if it was being chased, but there was nothing in pursuit. In 2012, I was quadding at elevation and worked my way through some huge boulders into a meadow that was brushy and had groups of trees. I stopped and looked around, then got an impression of a large, light brown, hairy being laying back on its elbows in the brush with its legs slightly bent. It had the build of a basketball player, thin and lanky, not what I heard a Sasquatch looks like. I looked around but did not see anything, but you could have hiked to the summit of the mountain from this meadow. I decided I should leave, but did not have any negative experiences. The only thing I wondered was, what the F? Am I losing my mind? In 2014, I was at high elevation above tree line at over 12,000 feet elevation on my quad. I stopped and hiked to an overlook and stood for several minutes looking at the lakes and the scenery below. When I returned to my quad, I had an impression of several Sasquatches, big with black fur in a lake beyond a berm to my right, and one was just looking at me, but this is in my mind. Another WTF moment. I wanted to walk over and look, but I thought it may not be a good idea. So I got on my quad and left. I gained no negative experiences, but had me wondering what in the hell is going on. No doubt. In the future, when I'm with other ATVers, I plan to see if in fact there is a lake beyond the berm or rise. That'd be interesting for sure. That'd be interesting to hear the report on that. In 2022, getting ready to head up to one of the Sierra passes on my quad, I loaded my gear, and the last thing I did was grab and load my .357 with hollow points. As I put the gun in my rear rack bag on my quad, I got sick to my stomach and had pain in my head and thought, am I having a heart attack or a medical issue? As I was 63 at the time. I then remembered what you said you do and stated out loud, I come in peace. This gun is to protect me from a cougar or bear when I go hiking. Please do not hurt me, and I don't want to hurt you. I come in peace. I breathed for a couple of minutes and decided I would try riding slowly. And if it didn't go away, I'd go to the hospital 60 miles away. After riding for 5 to 10 minutes, I felt fine. And I was thinking, is it possible I could have been exposed to infrasound? Since 2005, I've read multiple Bigfoot books and was finally able to attend a conference in Montana in October 2023. I had the luck to sit at dinner with all the well-known incredible Bigfoot researchers that I described my 2005 experience to. I told him the exact location where I'd been hunting, and his response was, "Oh yeah, they're up there," meaning Sasquatch. But neither he or his hunting buddies had ever had a terrifying fear and dread or leave now experience. You had asked in one of your videos, why tell your story now? I recently read 2 of Scott Carpenter's books and found them disturbing. The information shared on your channels and your book on pages 117, 171, and 294 provides some insight into this topic, but is also disturbing. For years after the 2005 experience, I just did not know what to think. You cannot talk to people about this subject as they think you are nuts. I thought about getting hypnotized, and will advise you if I do. I also cannot find your channel on Rumble. Thanks again, Steve. Hit reply if you have any questions. If you're ever in Southern California, I'd love to meet you for a beer or coffee or lunch or dinner, Scott. Okay, man. Appreciate you coming forward big time. There's a lot of experienced people who go out into the woods and have those thoughts, feelings, words imprinted into their minds from somebody, from somewhere, somehow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to know if you went back to that lake, or when you do, let us know if there was a lake there. That'd be a bit of a mind bender too, right? Possible insights on missing 411. My first name's fine. Okay, Mike. When I was 8, I had an experience I can't explain. Long story short, as short as I can make it anyway, something posing as my best friend, I believe, saved my life. Our neighborhood, dead-end street, abutted acres and acres of conservation land all around it, and there was one far field we would sneak into through a hole in a fence in our neighbor's backyard. We'd done this multiple times, no issue. However, on this occasion, we come through the fence, and it's like we were in a different world. Oddly, it matched a dream I had of 2 men in the same field the night before. These men weren't quite human, and one had what looked like an arrow quiver on his back, but contained objects I can't identify. Anyway, as soon as we pop out, and I'm leaving out a lot of detail for the sake of not typing forever, my best friend, my quote, best friend, end quote, says, "No good, we can't stay here," despite seeing nothing strange and definitely not seeing the 2 men in my dream. I was absolutely paralyzed by fear the moment I saw the empty field from my dream where the 2 men were the night before. In my dream, I didn't totally recognize it because it looked so different than I was accustomed to, but it was unmistakable upon seeing it. Anyway, I was utterly confused why he said we couldn't stay there, but I didn't care either. I was so glad we were leaving. I tried to climb over the fence, which wasn't possible due to the brush abutting it, and I just remember him butting his head back out of the hole in the fence saying, "What are you doing? Let's go." With a serious sense of panic in his voice, I crawled through the hole, and both my ears immediately popped hard. Popped like I never felt before or since. Stranger still, my friend, at 7 years old, turns to me and with the diction, tone, and authority, but same child voice, of an adult says, "Make sure your ears pop." I said, "They just did." He looks at me and says, "Are you sure they popped?" I said, "Yes." I said adamantly, and he just shook his head knowingly. "Okay, good." He said with a serious sense of relief in his voice, gesturing for us to climb out of the landscaping at the back of our neighbor's yard. Upon walking out of the yard, he said his mother called him. I didn't hear anything. He persisted. I tried to follow him. He said he had to go to music class at school. It was July and he didn't play an instrument. This whole thing struck me as extremely odd because it was for a myriad of reasons. So I'm watching him walk across the street to his house, but he doesn't go to the house. He goes to walk around the far side of a detached garage. Oh, no way, I thought, and took off chasing him as fast as I could. I got to the corner of the garage, which had nothing but a field on the other side and gravel landscaping at the far corner, which I would have heard clearly if he'd gone back around the far corner 2 to 3 seconds after he did, and he had disappeared into thin air, gone. Nothing there, and literally nowhere to hide. So 2 days later, I see him and ask where he went, how he disappeared, and why he would clearly lie about his mother calling and ditch me. He looks at me like I had 4 heads and busts out laughing. I'm now pissed, and I'm demanding to know where he went. He says, "Are you okay? I've been at my cousin's the whole week and just got home a couple hours ago. We didn't hang out 2 days ago, and I wouldn't ditch you." Paraphrasing, this was years ago. Not calmed by this at all, I was almost yelling at him. And he just said, "Could it have been a few weeks ago or something? I wasn't here for a week, and definitely not 2 days ago." I finally had to give up. But his cousins, 2 older brothers and mother, all confirmed he was, in fact, at his cousin's the entire previous week. I can't explain it. I never had an experience like it again. I will, however, close with this. I was so afraid of that field, I never went back through the hole in the fence. But I had to know, and asked my father to go for a walk with me, which we took to that field, and it was completely back to normal, like it had always been multiple times before, and nothing like it was this one other time. I have no explanation, but I believe these people who disappear right from under someone else's nose without a single trace really may have ended up somewhere else. All I can say is if your ears ever feel like they're full of pressure and all the sounds become muted, like there's cotton in your ears, go back the way you came ASAP. There's a lot more detail I can provide, as well as walk you through where it happened on Google Maps. Maybe I'll hear from you. Be well. Mike, holy shit, man. I have a funny feeling you're probably not the only one who experienced something like that. In fact, I know you aren't. Immediately, the first memory comes to my mind is a friend of Mount Curry whose friend was hiking ahead of everybody, and then all of a sudden, something happened to him, and everybody's ahead of him on the trail. He's all messed up. So, your feelings on people going somewhere else, I absolutely agree. And my peanut head cannot give some kind of a rational explanation, come up with an idea. I'm just like, what? I don't know. I haven't a clue what's going on with this energy, these portals. It's very, very confusing, right? It's very, very confusing. A lot of the realities that are really going on. It's unfortunate. I still feel ripped off. I feel like I'm learning all over again, which I am. And I feel ripped off because we do not know. We do not know the absolute truths going on with our lives in our lifetime today. We don't. And yes, without a doubt, it's intentional. We are intentionally being kept with the wool pulled over our face. Pretty crazy experience, man. I wonder how many people may possibly comment in the comment section below relating to what you experienced, or they're going to write into me. We're going to find out soon. Appreciate you, man. Crazy. Kansas Dogman update on story. Don't share my name. I wrote in a Dogman story that my brother had recently, and he shared more details. The last time I wrote into you, told me about his dog. Sorry. Couple typos. The last time I wrote into you, you told me about his dog mad experience. Dog man? Sorry. Well, he gave me more details on the story. How, in the middle of Kansas, you came to a T in the road, and as it came to a stop, you look left and right for traffic, even though it's backcountry road. And as he looked left, there stood a dog man that was about 7 feet tall. And he turned right and sped up fast. He told me he was going about 50 miles per hour to get away from that dog man, and that he and his wife, he had his wife with him too, and they're both very scared. And this is the update to that story. That is, he sped off going 50, and the dog man caught up to him. And the dog man was looking through the passenger side window of his van that he was doing 50 in, and was looking directly at his wife as the dog man gave that grin that people talk about. Here's what I'm going to add to this story about my knowledge of why this dog man was following him. In central Kansas, there's a spiritualist camp and a church. Every year, they have like a camp where people come from all over the world in the United States. And they have people that are witches and that are pagans, and a variety of people that come and they cast spells and conjure up spirits. And I think this is all connected. That's creepy. I think they opened the portal where this dogman came out. I don't know this part to be a fact. I've heard several stories about dogmen in the area, from Salina, Kansas to Minneapolis, Kansas, but even further south by Wichita. And we have Bigfoot too. They have been spotted by Bennington, Kansas, and by Fort Riley, Kansas. Oh, sorry. Kansas does have a nuclear reactor over by Topeka, Kansas. Seen it. I was wondering if the scientists that work there would come clean if they know about Bigfoot around the nuclear power plant. This year, as I went to Ada, Kansas to get my truck worked on, I spotted a wolf running across the road. We do have professional hunters in the area, and I asked them, do we have any wolves in Kansas? Have you seen any? Because if you have game wardens, they saw. We don't have any. Sorry. There's a couple typos, no biggie. Let me read that again. I'll make sense of it. We do have professional hunters in the area, and I asked them, do we have any wolves in Kansas? Have you seen any? Because if you have game wardens, they say we don't have any. No punctuation. No biggie. But this professional hunter says we have several wolves in the state of Kansas. He knew of a guy who hit one and had it stuffed and mounted. Got permission, but it got permission from the game warden. Steve, thanks for what you do. Let people share and vent about their experiences. Thanks, and keep this under your back. If you ever made any other cryptids just like the old West that gave me an edge, God bless and be safe. Okay, I think he did talk to text. There you go. Another dogman encounter. Running, looking in the vehicle, which has happened how many frickin' times? A lot. Do I believe them? Yep, I believe them. I believe there's too many. There's far too many people having this shit go down. But I'm not hearing is people sharing with us they saw a dogman kill a human being. Plain and simple. That one sentence. We are not hearing from people who directly saw a thing described as a dogman killing a human. Which contradicts a lot of echoes out there that say, boldly, dogmen are killing a lot of people. Back it up. Where's the near misses? Where's somebody seeing it go down? Hi, Steve. My name is... Hold on a minute. We got here. Attacked by a Bigfoot is the title of this email. Hi, Steve. My name is Mac Milner, and you're free to use my name. I've been investigating reports of UFOs and Bigfoot casually over the past nearly 60 years since I saw a UFO in '64. About the same time, I heard my dad and brother discuss a Bigfoot incident reported in a magazine. But the past 7 years, I've studied the subject practically daily. Here's my story. About 11 years ago in the summer of 2012, my wife and I went to Niagara Falls for a week of vacation. After staying in hotels for a week, we spent the last night in a bed and breakfast on the New York side in a very old home. There were maybe 10 other guests that spent the night there as well. The home was dark and spooky, perfect for a haunted house movie, but nothing happened. This sounds familiar. The next morning, we all ate breakfast together in a large dining room and chatted casually. Then someone mentioned the spooky house and that she was nervous. It may have been haunted. And this is my opportunity to explain that ghosts are not spirits of departed people, but in truth are demons pretending to be the spirits of departed people. The conversation somehow moved to Bigfoot, and I explained that this too was a spiritual being, not a flesh and blood animal living in the forest. It is actually some kind of a demonic creature. I then told them the story of a demon possession incident that occurred in Manila in the 1950s. The most documented demon possession story ever recorded. Excuse me. To look it up and read about it yourself, or your listeners, the account can be found by Googling Lester Sumrall, Sumrall, who was the evangelist that went to the jail where a 15-year-old girl was incarcerated and experiencing attacks that resulted in bites on her shoulders and upper arms, some of which were 2 inches deep. Whoa. The girl was the only one who could see the demon who was biting her. And I got shivers right there because I'm familiar with that story, actually, and I think I've seen some of that video. I don't like that shit myself. I really don't like it. To everyone else, it was invisible. So she was getting bites 2 inches deep into her flesh, and nobody saw what was doing it but her. Can you imagine what that poor kid was going through? After a few weeks, Lester Sumrall was able to cast it out. The girl described it in such a way that it sounded similar to how a Bigfoot is described, except, of course, this one had fangs. I went on to explain that the Bigfoot creature is also a demonic being, and that the Bible is true, and Jesus is real, and the only way a human being can have eternal life. That was the important thing, that faith in Jesus Christ and his personal sacrifice on the cross is the only way for us to be forgiven of our sins. I wanted them to know this. I wanted them to know that this is God's means of forgiving us for our sins and giving us eternal life when we die. Everyone was very interested in the story, and shortly thereafter, we all left the bed and breakfast to go our separate ways. My wife and I went for a hike on the Niagara River. It was a long hike down into the chasm to the river below. We were well past the falls, there on a steep embankment with forest all around us. We made our way all the way down, and we made our way all the way down the maybe 2-mile hike to the river, lingered a while, and then returned back up the trail. As we climbed the trail, I was feeling relaxed and lazy amid the beautiful surroundings and weather. And it was getting to be late in the afternoon, but still plenty of sunlight. My wife got ahead of me and disappeared over a slight rise in the path as I lingered in a spot where I saw an unusually pretty flower. When I looked up, she was gone. So I determined to start a slow jog to catch up. Very close ahead was a tree on my left with roots that crossed the path. They were exposed due to erosion. I took a mental note of them to be sure I wouldn't trip over them. And as I approached that spot in the trail, jogging very slowly, my left foot was suddenly violently struck from behind and underneath, thrusting it wildly forward with incredible force. It struck an exposed root, and instantly I felt the pain in my left big toe. At the same time, something broad and flat hit me on my right shoulder blade, throwing me violently to my left, and with my left foot stuck on the exposed root, I fell to my left. Or should I say, I was thrown to my left. Down I went onto the rough path. I extended my hands to break my fall, but that did no good. I smashed my chest into the path hard. I felt a good amount of pain, but I instantly looked over my right shoulder to see who or what hit me, and there was no one there. The forest was not thick at all, and I could see a good distance up the hillside as well as the path behind me. Whatever it was that attacked me was invisible. My sternum hurt for 3 months before it recovered from the impact. My left big toe was fractured, and the bottom of my foot turned purple from internal bleeding. My hands were bruised and had small pebbles from the path embedded in them because of the force of the fall. Something big and strong and angry had thrown me down. I'm certain I was attacked as an act of revenge by a Bigfoot demonic being for revealing the true identity of these things to the people at breakfast that morning. I've heard other reports of Bigfoot sightings where people saw them suddenly materialize or disappear right before their eyes. That's because of the spiritual nature of these beings, these things. They are genetic constructs that have their origins in the times of the Nephilim in Genesis chapter 6 in the Bible. I believe they are extremely hostile and dangerous. The accounts in which they appear friendly are incidences, but where they want to deceive people. They are largely unable to harm us because God limits what they can do, but I believe in certain circumstances they can. I want to close my story by saying that I'll be careful to use the name of Jesus to drive these things away, just like any other demon, next time I'm hiking in the forest. I hope you share this, Steve, and that you will invite Jesus to be your God and Savior. Once you know Him, you too can use His name to command demons to flee from you. Who knows, it could save you injury and harm someday when you're out there by yourself. Keep up the good work, and God bless you and your family. Mac Milner. Okay, Mac, God, that sounds vaguely familiar, that one, but it was just percent. There you go. Possibly, but did not see a 8 to 10 foot tall hairy being thrown to the ground, but who knows what it was. I haven't a freaking clue, man. I haven't a clue. Here's a quick question. Dear Steve Isdall, can you ask the round table if anyone who is baptized has Sabe interactions? Please and thank you, Phil. Okay, Phil, there you go. Share it. Watch the comment section below. If you are here, if you have had a Sasquatch encounter and you are baptized, throw it down in the comment section below. Interesting question. Interesting question. Listen to this. This is a follow-up of a Sabe face and comparison pics with myself and measurements. Sam Houston, National Forest, East Texas, not a story. Steve, you shared the possible face of one of the hairy bastards of the woods on my family's property in the middle of Sam Houston National Forest. It was accidentally labeled as clearest image of Bigfoot face or something along those lines. I don't think you could see it in my share, but here's a comparison of myself with the tape measure a few days ago. Sweet! Finally, somebody's doing this. The picture from my game cam of possible face was taken in 2022, 2 years ago, and the tree the thing was next to and the foliage has grown and changed a little since then. Roughly 8 foot tall, give or take, from my calculations. Anyways, here's a comparison for the Club of No Return and any sleuths here that could hopefully discern if this is one or not. Share or not. Thank you for sharing my previous emails about possible Sabe face and my encounters I've had out there. My puzzle pieces are coming together over the past 4 years, listening to the good people that share on this wonderful community. Share my name, please, and my ugly mug. For bless you and everyone. Brian Callahan. Okay, Brian. There's the photos. Creepy. Yeah, it's funny. It looks like something's there, right? For sure. It's, for me, I mean, when I zoom in on it, I don't know. looks like something's dark. I can't. I'm just a tough one to share this. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to comment on photos. I'm the guy to share them. I'm definitely the guy to share them. I wasn't there, but some of these pictures, me personally, I'm not seeing two eyeballs, a nose, and a mouth looking at me. I'm not. That's just me. There's something there. Something's different there for sure. For sure. What's this one? Shared, man. Shared. Appreciate you sending that. Sorry that I don't have solid answers for people who send the photos. Not me. I'm real shitty at it. All right. This one's titled Dogman. Hi, Steve. Please don't share my name. All right. I wrote in about my brother having a dogman experience with his wife. Wait a minute. I just wrote that. Oh, hold on. Here's another one. Same dude, I guess? All right, hold on. Sorry. I thought I just read this by accident, but I didn't. Excuse me. It's titled Dogman. Hi, Steve. Please don't share my name. I have wrote in about my brother having dogman experience with his ex-wife. I have wrote in about my experiences with wild animals by my apartment this year. I have been growled at through my window. I've seen a herd of deer. I've seen and heard of deer, coons, foxes, etc. Also, we have a ton of cats around our apartment. Today was my day. I think it was a dog man I seen cross the road coming back from Ada, Kansas. In my pickup truck. Sorry, there's a few typos. I was going to pick up my truck from getting fixed. I was driving home and I met a white pickup truck. It was 300 feet away from me when a black animal ran across the road behind the pickup. It was as big as the pickup as it ran across the road behind the pickup. It wasn't a vehicle because it was open pasture land with a creek with woods. If the dog man would have stood up, it would have been 10 feet tall. It was huge, running on all fours. I know my brother who's seen a dog man chase him and his ex-wife in the van, and he was going 50 miles an hour, and he was looking in the passenger side window. My brother won't go hunting or fishing anymore. As kids, all my brothers fished and hunted and trapped. Thanks, Steve, for listening. May God protect you as you travel in the woods. There you go, Kansas. I've shared here more than a few times. I hunted in Kansas quite a bit. Lacine, Kansas. Met Toby Keith there, rest his soul. Kansas. Okay, Ada, Kansas. Any of you out there around Ada, Kansas? And you're hesitant about sharing what you've seen? Don't be. Send it. Send it. Please. Please send it to us. You know somebody who was physically harmed by something odd, or you have, I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it. This is titled Hot Springs. I have a theory that you might be able to comment on. I love to explore the hot springs around BC. And there is a particular site near Pemberton Lillooet Lake on the north side of the Duffy. That is closed off due to bears. I don't know of any bears who are territorial about hot springs, but I know monkeys are in several countries. I know that humans alike love hot springs. Just a thought. I've been all over the Harrison East and West Side and always get that eerie feeling. I won't camp down there anymore. It's just too spooky. The pool's near Skookumchuck, past that old church. If you know the one I'm talking about, is a foreboding area, but very well attended. Yet, if you cross the Duffy and head north, is closed down. Apparently people have actually died here. Imagine sitting in a pool in the forest and a big papa slips in beside you. Wouldn't that be awkward? Yeah, it'd be kind of awkward. What can I tell you about that? Yeah, I've been down there. I actually guided some hunts down there. And believe me, the whole time I'm down there, you know what I'm thinking about. But I got the hunts done. And also down there is where the young fella from Pemberton had the photo of 3 of them on the side of the river where it narrows up down there. Never got a hold of the photo. Oh well. Between Pemberton, well, anywhere around there. Squamish, Whistler, Pemberton, Lillooet, all the way down the Narrows, dumping into Harrison Lake. Harrison Lake, obviously, right? The whole area is on fire. The hot springs, when you go down from Pemberton, down Lillooet Lake, past the lake, I guess it's those hot springs you're talking about. And they have some kind of shanty shacks built around them in the pools there. I had a guy email me, say flat out, they went down there one time and there was a gray one standing right there as they pulled into the hot spring area. They pulled in, the sucker was just standing there staring at them. Gray one, gray hair. And he said that it just looked at them, stood there, looked at them, and then turned and headed into the forest, which the direction would have been heading down valley towards the Harrison direction. So I heard that one firsthand. When I was looking for these beings intentionally in that area, I think my number was 44. 44 people I spoke with and looked into their eyes that had had experiences around the area we just mentioned. So there you go. Why are the gates closed? I don't know. To be honest, I could go on a bit of a tangent with that. I used to be a member of the Pemberton Wildlife Association in Pemberton, and there's this absolute psychopath of a control freak, narcissistic freak show, excuse me, who just nonstop wanted to police the humans. It was creepy to watch, to the point I just couldn't do it anymore. He used to take, I'm getting to the gate closed mentioned by saying this, he used to take votes from the whole committee about what we're going to do with proposed wildlife changes in our hunting regulations. The whole group would vote it strongly against, and because he's the one writing letters, well, they caught him, excuse me, writing the letter into the main chapter, the main BCWF, that we were for it. So that's the kind of person we're talking about. Anyway, this person played a huge role in putting gates up all over the place around there to keep people up because of the grizzly bears. It's amazing, isn't it? And if you're First Nations, well, you can travel into the woods around there, but not if you were born and had the wrong flavor skin, or back your family tree wasn't the right tree. No, they don't want you to go up in that forest anymore. You can't. I could go off for a while, but anyways, that's what I know about the gates around there. They weren't put up because of the dangers of running into a Sasquatch. They weren't. It's because of some psychopaths squeezing the noose on human beings and encouraging the divide and the control and just being unstable between the ears. Excuse me. So I hope that clears it up. The gates definitely aren't there because of Sasquatch, especially around that country. One gate on one road ain't gonna do shit because those people, those bush people, forest people are all over the place there year round. What do we got here? Oh, this one's way too long for this stage of the game. Okay. Oh, this is resent. Somebody resent their shitty punctuated previous email. Appreciate you, man. I'll read that tomorrow, Josh. And there's a recording for us. It's a long one, so, because I gotta get ripping. Alright, here we go. This one's not too long. This I'm gonna close on this. Excuse me. 13-year-old with a 1,000-yard stare. Title this email. Hello, Steve. First of all, I'd like to thank you more than I can articulate. You may share my name, Kevin Valentine, because I need to force myself and the universe to accept me for who I am. 58-year-old man who is tired of the lies and the ease of certain people, including family, to laugh off and humiliate a person's beliefs. My encounter happened when I was 13 in the summer of '79. My family and I, which including my mom, stepdad, and 3 younger brothers, had moved up to the Sierra Nevada mountains just east of town called Mariposa, California, about 25 miles from Yosemite National Park. My stepfather was not the kindest of persons when it came to his family responsibilities. This was like the 3rd or 4th house we had moved to in a year, which was typical every year. I enjoyed the outdoors of exploring the woods around our house. It was my escape. I would search for caves and look for quartz crystals. I seemed to have a knack for finding both. Well, a few of my stepdad's nephews had came to the house for a weekend stay. They were in their 20s and the kind of a people a naive kid should not associate with. But, being a kid, looking for approval, wanting to feel included, I mentioned to one of them about an old cabin I had found on top of a mountain behind our place and how it had all kinds of cool old stuff still inside. One of the cousins wanted me to take him to the cabin. I said, sure, not knowing he was just looking for stuff to steal. We headed out to the cabin about 5 in the evening, thinking we had plenty of time to be back before dark, since it was about 2 miles away. Besides, I'm with an adult, right? To make a long story short, we started heading home. But we had stayed way too long and it was getting dark. We ended up going the wrong direction home and got lost. After several hours of hiking in the dark, we came across another cabin in a small valley that was in very bad shape, with a wall or two missing, causing the interior to be exposed to the elements. We were tired and scared, so we decided to try to sleep under an old rug that was in the shack. The night went uneventful, except for being cold and an owl which sounded like it was in the cabin with us, hooting all night. We were up at first light trying to figure out which way to go, when I glanced up the hillside next to the cabin, and I saw what I thought was a cave opening 75 yards up the hill. It looked to be wide enough for 2 people to walk in side by side, and just as high. And at that instance I thought, cool, I'm gonna have to go check it out. When all of a sudden, I heard a massive roar that sounded far away that ended in an almost whisper-like sound right next to me. And that dark cave opening started barreling down the hill towards us. That's a crazy description. Excuse me. We were standing in an old dried riverbed that ran next to the cabin. I turned to look at my cousin, not knowing what to do. I think I was in shock. He was already running full on, and was at least 50 yards ahead of me. I took off running as fast as I could, trying to catch him. I stopped because my nose started bleeding, and I was out of breath. Everything was silent except for my heart pounding and my breath. My cousin was out of sight, and as I started walking to catch my breath, I noticed something was mimicking my steps, with a slight delay, just to the right of me, sounding just a few yards away behind some tall scrub brush and saplings in a creek bed. When I stepped, it stepped. When I breathed, it would breathe. I felt like I was in a quiet room with something I could not see, when all of a sudden I could hear my parents calling for me in the distance. I took off running towards their voices and finally seeing them at the backside of a property fence line. My cousin was with them. I asked him what was chasing us, and he denied hearing or seeing anything. Even though I was in shock with a bloody nose and having what felt like what little hold I had on reality was just stripped from me, I was in trouble for inconveniencing my stepdad to have to go look for me. I stopped telling people what happened and or asking what they could have been. I stopped telling people what happened and or asking what that could have been because of ridicule and realizing people would rather accuse others of lying than to accept the truth or fear of a paradigm shift of their reality. This messed me up mentally and spiritually, so I can't understand the reaction of others saying it's bullshit or demonic. In the mid-90s, my girlfriend and I were taking a hike up at a place called Ingalls Ranch, just outside of a town called Tulum in the Sierra Nevada range of California. After the hike, we started to head back to my vehicle when we noticed a large human footprint in the soft dirt of the road right in front of my vehicle. It was half again as big as my size 12. One print within inches of my front bumper, as if to say, "Here I am." Also, it appeared to be a smeared handprint in the dust on the hood of my car. It started to freak my girlfriend out, but, in a weird way, eased my mind as if it was saying, "You're not crazy and I am real." There was no reason to do what it did to me back in 1979 unless it knew what I was thinking and knew I would be back to explore, and it did not want that. There are so many mysteries and miracles in each person's life, most of which we never see. Like thinking of someone and all of a sudden the phone rings and it's that person, or thinking of a song and you turn on the radio only to have that song playing. We are powerful beings, beautiful and scary at the same time. P.S. Through a lot of seeking and searching for answers, I found that I could disrupt night vision with a remote control. TV, DVD does not matter, because the infrared light on the remote messes with night vision. Interesting. In what way, I wonder? I'm familiar with night vision. I've used that a lot in shooting hogs in the night. So the remote control, from the TV, remote control for a DVD doesn't matter. So the remote control messes with infrared light. The infrared light on a remote messes with the night vision. Night vision infrared isn't the same thing, because I know we have illuminators on the rifles. There's a button that hits the illuminator, and that, so you're already seeing the night vision. This isn't thermal. You're seeing the night vision, and then you hit the button, which is illuminator, and it's almost like you hit the enhance button, and then you can see the light go brighter. And the person beside you with their rifle, same thing. We're looking at hogs. Will be scanning with your night vision, hit the illuminator, and it makes it even stronger. Anyway, there you go. I appreciate you sending that in, man, and I absolutely believe you saw what you saw, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And there is so many mysteries. There's so many frickin' mysteries, but it's so bizarre how we have been programmed to just go down this route right here. Just go straight down that route. Right? Straight down that route. Do not look sideways. Just look ahead. Don't speak about certain things. Don't talk about things. Right? You saw what? No, you didn't. You're crazy. It's frustrating. It is easier. Obviously, right? It's easier. It can be considered quite easier to just shut your head, see what you saw, know what you know, and put your head in the sand and just go about in life like you're supposed to be doing, right? That probably would be the easier route to go on most human beings' minds. Not mine. I go the opposite. It's kind of frustrating though, right? It's frustrating to non-stop, if you have it in you and you can't control it, to buck against the bullshit during this lifetime. Then you can see the turmoil it potentially causes, right? I mean, because there's so much bullshit, everything. Who knows how much of our existence is just absolute bullshit, right? So if you've got it in you to buck against it, it's non-stop, right? It's non-frickin' stop, and it can get quite frustrating at times when you are getting slapped in the face with bullshit non-stop, and you just want the truth. You just want the truth, man. I just want the truth. I want the truth, and I want fair crack at making sure that this lifetime and all your lifetimes are better, and you get to do and be every single thing that you were built to do and be. Right? I don't know why. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are frustrated, who are angry and pissed that you have had that taken away from you. That is one of the in-your-face points I like to make. Once you become aware that this shit's going down, once you see, as an example, the easiest one to deliver to the world that we're being absolutely frickin' bullshitted is the fact that one thing, the fact these 8 to 10 foot tall, hairy, human-like beings are ripping around and they aren't no cartoon character, right? And then once you accept that, you've seen it, you didn't ask for it, you're off to the races. You're in the club of no return. Or, nope, I didn't see shit. And you go doing what you are instructed and conditioned to do. Just go that way, put the blinders on. Never mind, work towards that retirement, do your time and die. Not me. Why am I playing with that? Oops. Never show you cards, right? Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com, and make sure before, if you have it in you between your ears to be a little challenged, think before you react to words you hear here. All right? If you're triggered to blow a gasket here, something's probably more than likely going on between your ears. You need to clear that shit up with yourself and think about it and re-listen to what you're hearing here before you pull a snap sandwich. Especially on me, because the odd time, the odd recipient hits me at the right moment, and I email back and I rip their friggin' butthole out their throat. Did that last night. So, right now, I don't have any time for dumb. I don't have any time for bullshit right now. I got none. I got no patience for it. Listen to my words clearly. If you can't, share my story at howtohunt.com, all right? I want to hear your truth. I want you to help me figure out truth. I want you to help you, me, and everybody here figure out this shit show. We're doing it. It's frustrating. It's confusing. It's scary. But if we quit, it doesn't happen. So you can't quit. You gotta keep going.